In the series of history of economic thoughts, now we come across the pre-Socratic philosophers. But first we need to understand that why we need to understand those all philosophers and these ancient Greek thoughts. It's because that it's not a linear progression in the history of economic thoughts. People have created errors in the fundamental economic laws or fundamental economic theories because the human knowledge is not absolute, it's comparative. One person can understand more economics than another person. One person, and humans are prone to error. Humans can do error. So that's why we need to understand these philosophers and these thinkers to know that how these modern economic thoughts have evolved over the time. Now, in pre-Socratic philosophers, we have two famous philosophers. One, the Pythagoras of Samos, and another is Democratus. Pythagoras of Samos, he was from 587 to 507 BCE. Pythagoras of Samos, he was merely known as a mathematician or a mathematical philosopher. He was not a kind of philosopher who would just observe things, who would just do subjective analysis. He have given everything numerics. He said that the ultimate reality of life is numbers. Now, what is the fundamental or the foundation of Pythagoras is that Pythagoreanism. It's a fundamental theory. It's also political and more of a numerical theories. The main contribution other than economics is the geometry theory, that is base square plus perpendicular square equal to hypotenuse square, which is really famous theorem. Another is that Pythagoras also converted mathematics from musical intervals, like he deduced the mathematical formulas or the mathematical numbers of octave, fifth, fourth, all from this music. So these are some of the main other foundations of Pythagoras, like from the music theory and the geometry theory. Further on, if you understand Pythagoras, so you must have to understand his numerics. He even give numerics to morals, to ethics, to certain things that can't be quantified. But Pythagoras, in his own sense, he said that the only thing that can create harmony in the universe is numbers. Like for justice, he gave the number 4, and if we see, so he gave number to 1 to unity, 2 to harmony, 3 to harmony, 2 to duality, and 4 to justice. And he was so much obsessed with numerics that he ultimately said that mathematical formulas and these mathematics, these all is the ultimate reality of the world. Now, if we see why he has said these things, why he said that numerics is the ultimate reality, because he understood that the only linear progression or the only linear thing that exists is numbers. Like he gave justice 4 because it is more perfectly balanced and it implies more equality. Like he gave that the square of 2, it's mainly justice, or 4 is justice. So it was mainly about that it's a perfect balance or it's an equality, that it denotes equality. Also, he gave abstract qualities, numbers like wealth, fairness, value, and these all numbers. Like if you see that it was a top-down approach to understand reality, to understand economics, to understand justice system, to understand human emotions, to understand music as well. He said that numbers are important, and he must emphasize the main thing, that is numbers, that the ultimate reality are numbers. Now, what this disastrous or this theory just brought hindrance in the economic thoughts, because people didn't observe things. People said that the ultimate reality is numbers, so why just we need to analyze things, we need to observe things, why we need to have subjective analysis, why we need observations? We just have this mathematical formula, and if we implement this mathematical formula, a result would come. And it just create a lot of problems in the society, a lot of problems. Like Pythagoras itself gave complex human phenomena the formulas that he just tried to give the complex human phenomena as numerical numbers and empirics, and this was his disasters which he did with the world. Like also Sorokin critiqued on the new economists that they just use the mathematics and the econometrics so much that they have they have ignored the basis of the observation, the analysis. People are just very much about the mathematical formulas, the mathematical models, econometrics, that this thing would only validate our economics. So this was the Sorokin critique, that these all are mainly Pythagoreans, because Pythagoras was the person in history that just emphasized about numbers and said that numbers are the only reality. He didn't even understood that emotions aren't just static, which can be given number, or the complex human interactions or the human behaviors, the sociological, the demographical behaviors. How can you give these things numbers? Many things can be done with observation, could be done with thinking, could be done with understanding things. Another pre-Socratic philosopher is Democratus of Abdera. He lived from 460 to 370 BC. Now, Democratus was a cheerful philosopher. He was light-mooded. He also existed in the time of Socrates. He is really influential in scientific inquiries because he was the founder of atomism. He said that universe and matter consist of tiny little particles that are indivisible, and they consist of those particles that are known as atoms. It led us to the scientific inquiries and scientific methods, and people thought about reality, that how to investigate reality scientifically. In economics, Democratus mainly said that there is a difference between moral value and economic value. If a thing is good in moral values, so it will be good for all people, and if a thing is bad, so that would be bad for all peoples. But in economic value, it depends on the usefulness, that if a thing is useful, so it would have more economic value. If a thing is not useful, so it have less useful value, or it have less economic value. Now, it led us to the subjective value theory, that is that if a person values something and a person uses something more, so it means that its value would be more and its economic value would be more for that person. So here on, the value depend on the each person preferences and the each person's subjective preferences and satisfaction level. He also gave the theory that a thing value depends upon its abundance. If a thing is in superabundance, it means that its value would be less, and if it's not in abundant quality, so its value would be less in economic exchange. He was also the founder of marginal utility. The marginal utility is the satisfaction level, that if you have one glass of water, so one glass of water would give you more satisfaction by drinking it, but a container of water won't give you satisfaction, because a thing when you increase its consumption, its satisfaction decreases. So he was also the founder of giving us the marginal utility concept. He also said that if a person curb his desires and he accumulate his wealth, so he would be certainly known as relatively more wealthier, because wealth, by accumulation, wealth have more, like you become richer by that. He also said that wealth also depend on how you use it, in your satisfaction, and how you use it in your usefulness. It doesn't depend on the accumulation, that you just accumulate wealth. It depends that how you use this wealth and how it gives you satisfaction. This was mainly, he also gave an insight that was really important in the Austrian school of thought, and the Austrian school of thought is the time preference value. He said that we don't know that a young person would lead to an old age. So a thing which is consumed now have more value than a thing that is consumed in later ages. That's why we just discount a thing later on in time, because now its value is more, because there is an uncertainty that exists, that a person can't lead to an old age. It's just a hope that I can go towards the old age like 60 or 70, but there is no surety about it. That's why we discount anything, and it's a preliminary and primary thing in the Austrian school of thought, that is interest rate theory and also capital formation theory as well. Now, what he said about the private property, Democratus, in the time of Democratus, there was despotism in many of the states, the city-states. In Athens, there was private property because aristocratic system, but in Sparta, there was more of an oligarchy or a tyranny type of system. So this was the time that Democratus said that private property is more good, because he said that spending, if done communally, it don't give you more pain, and if you earn communally, so it don't give you more satisfaction. I think a person, when he just have labor and he just earns something for his own, so it gives him more satisfaction, a toil turning to happiness. And that was something that was really useful, and he said that he will use it for himself, he won't work for communal basis. So there lie in private property, there lie a thing of incentive. It incentivizes the human behavior to work more, to work hard, rather than communally, because communally people doesn't work, people just use people just like they just don't have that much work, they just put the burden on someone else, because people work communally. Now if we see in the Democratus and Pythagoras and also the other videos as well, there is a lot of historical figures that have given us economic thoughts, because we are understanding these things, because humans are prone to error and humans have done error in their thoughts as well. Some thoughts that shaped our modern economics, but some thoughts didn't shape our modern economics, that mainly led us to confusion over a long period of time. And that's the reason that we discuss history of economic thoughts, so that we can't do this kind of folly in our own time and in future as well.